Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So the increase for all Social Security beneficiaries, including retirees, SSI and SSDI, was released last week. It is going to work out to an increase of right around $650 on average. But is that all good news? In today's video, we're going to be covering everything that you need to know. But before we go ahead and dive into for today, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point in time, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into for today. So last week on Friday, we finally had the official cost of living adjustment increase that was announced by the Social Security Administration. It was late by right around 9 days because of the government shutdown. But once again, on October 24th, last Friday, it was finally released. And what it came out to was 2.8%, an increase for all beneficiaries of Social Security, whether you receive retirement benefits, whether you receive SSI benefits, or whether you receive disability benefits, you are going to be receiving this increase. It is going to work out to right around, on average, an increase of $650 for retirees. We're going to be breaking down all the numbers, but is it all good news? Is it actually could possibly be some bad news coming up with inflation continuing to rise? Should the cost of living adjustment actually been higher? In today's video, we're going to be breaking down all the numbers and everything that you need to know. So first off, starting out with this article here from the Motley Fool, they say that last Friday, the Social Security Administration announced the official 2026 cost of living adjustment. Benefits will increase 2.8% next year, 0.3 percentage point more than the pay increase retired workers received this year. However, the announcement also comes with bad news for Social Security beneficiaries. Tariffs imposed by the Trump administration have caused inflation to increase significantly since April, and many economists expect consumer prices to trend higher in the coming months, which means the COLA is likely insufficient. So even though you are going to be receiving an increase of 2.8%, year over year, inflation right now is actually 3%, and it continues to rise each and every month. So by the time January rolls around, we might be seeing an inflation of 3.5%, but you're only receiving a cost of living adjustment of 2.8%. So we're always playing this game of catch up with inflation. We're not actually keeping up with inflation. We're always, trailing a little bit behind. And each and every year, even though you are receiving a cost of living adjustment increase, you're still not actually receiving as high of an increase as you should be, because inflation is always a little bit higher than what the cost of living adjustment increase ends up being. Now, they go on here to say that the chart below details how the COLA will impact the average monthly Social Security payment for different types of beneficiaries. So starting out for retired workers, the average benefit as of this month is right around $2,008 a month. With the average benefit, after the 2.8% boost, it's going to boost that up to $2,064 a month. That's going to work out to an increase of close to $700 on an annual basis. It's going to work out to a monthly increase of $56 a month. As far as spouses go, the average benefit before the 2.8% increase, right around $955. After the 2.8% boost, it's going to boost that up to $982, a boost of $27 a month. As far as survivors go, the average benefit is right around $1,575. With the 2.8% boost, it's going to lift that up another $44 up to $1,619. And then finally, as far as disabled workers go, as of this month, the average benefit is right around $1,583. With a 2.8% jump, that's going to be another $44 per month increase for them, up to $1,627 a month. Again, it's really going to depend how much you receive, but a 2.8% increase is what it's going to be. You also have to keep your eye out for the Medicare Part B premium, which is also going to be increasing by right around $21.50 per month next year in 2026. Now, they also mentioned here that with a 2.8% COLA in 2026, Social Security benefits have now received 4 straight COLAs of at least 2.5%. That happened 3 decades ago last. Yet, over half of retired workers surveyed by the Motley Fool said the last two COLAs were insufficient, meaning they did not fully offset increases in living expenses. Unfortunately, the 2026 COLA is likely to disappoint in much the same way for two reasons. So first, the CPIW underestimates how much retirees spend on housing and medical care, and prices in both categories have risen faster than the overall CPIW this year, meaning the COLA is likely to underestimate true inflation. Secondly, CPIW inflation is likely to trend higher during the fourth quarter due to trade policies put in place by the Trump administration, but COLAs have only considered CPIW inflation through the third quarter. Any prices increases beyond that point will not be reflected in the 2026 COLA. Once again, because of these tariffs, we're seeing price increases at the beginning of this year. We actually expected inflation to go down, not necessarily prices to decrease. Prices would still be increasing, but just not at the same pace as what they have been over the last couple of years. We expected the cost of living adjustment actually to be right around 2% for 2026, which would have been lower than the one we received this year of 2.5%. Instead, we're actually receiving a higher COLA next year than what we did this year. So we're actually going backwards as far as progress goes as far as inflation. Now they go on here to say that President Donald Trump imposed sweeping tariffs on what he labeled as Liberation Day back in April. Included in the announcement was a 10% baseline tariff on most countries, as well as more severe country-specific reciprocal tariffs that were ultimately delayed until August, despite Trump's assertion that foreign exporters would pay the privilege for doing business in the U.S. Americans are footing the bill for the trade war. Goldman Sachs, for example, estimates that U.S. companies and consumers in aggregate pay 77% of the tariffs by year's end, with consumers alone bearing over half the burden. That only makes sense because if Walmart, if Target, if other stores are now having to pay more for goods they're importing into the country, in order for them to make the same profit, they have to raise the prices on us. So we are now having to pay more for everything that we're buying at Walmart, at Target, at other stores, whether it's a big business, whether it's a small business, anything where they're importing things from other countries, they're now having to pay more because of these tariffs. And if they want to make the same profit, they have to pass those costs along to us. And they also say that in turn, CPIW inflation climbed from 2.1% in April to 2.9% in September, and many experts think the upward pressure will persist as companies pass along costs on more of tariff products. 20 economists surveyed by the Wall Street Journal estimate that inflation will rise at least 0.2 of a percentage point by December. That is bad news for retired workers. And while annual COLAs reimburse Social Security recipients for the buying power benefits lost in the prior year, they only consider inflation in the third quarter. Any increase in consumer prices in the fourth quarter is not reflected in the next COLA, and there is a good chance inflation will exit the year above 2.8%, in which case a 2.8% COLA will feel insufficient. Of course, if inflation keeps climbing through the third quarter of 2026, that will be reflected in the 2027 COLA. So, Social Security beneficiaries will eventually be compensated for price increases caused by President Trump's trade war, but they will be behind the curve until inflation starts trending lower. And there's actually been surveys and different data points out there that showed that Social Security cost of living adjustments lag inflation over the past 15 to 20 years by right around 20%. We're constantly playing this game of catch up. Now, with that said, leave your thoughts and comments below. Are there certain products that you've seen go up that you buy that have gone up since, maybe March or April, since, the tariffs have been put into place? Leave your comments below. We're going to go over a few different products here by Go Banking rates that, of course, have increased since April. So first off, toys. Toys have jumped by 2.5% since April. TVs have also been increasing. TVs typically actually go down in price, but they have been rising. They say that retailers can pay anywhere from 20 to 30%, and they have risen by 3.1% since April. Jewelry and watches have also been increasing by 5.5% since April. Coffee, your caffeine, if you're big into coffee like I am, you're also paying a little bit more for coffee as well. And then finally, also bananas. Bananas have seen a 4.9% jump in prices between April and August. This is something that we're just going to continue seeing to rise over the next few months as those tariffs begin to take shape in our economy. But with that said, leave your thoughts and comments below. What do you think about the 2.8% increase? Do you believe that it's enough? Do you believe that it's not enough? Leave your thoughts and comments below. But that's all we have for today's video, and I will see you in the next one.